Welcome, welcome. Appreciate you guys being here today. This was an extremely choppy day in the market. We're going to dive into some big tech. We're going to talk about the direction of Bitcoin. We're going to analyze what exactly is coming next. I've been talking to Tim offline about Dogecoin. We were just analyzing it. We actually came on late because we were going back and forth on what the charts said. We got caught up in the technicals because this is Technical Tuesdays. Testing Tim. No, we're not testing Tim. It's Technical Tuesdays with Tim, and we're going to break down Nvidia. Nvidia was really hot today. The markets are extremely choppy. Now, I want to begin this show with reviewing some of the fundamentals that I think everybody absolutely has to be thinking about. Now, Tim, I don't know. I was just in New York, had a wonderful opportunity to go to the NASDAQ. It was just a really cool experience. And I met a ton of great people. Shout out to all of the awesome people that I met in New York. Now, I'm out there talking, but I'm also listening. And it pained me to see some of the portfolios that I saw. And it pained me because I saw the same mistakes in those portfolios that I made when I first started. So I'm going to take a moment here in response to some of the people that I love that I met out there in New York that were just the most awesome people. And I'm going to review the 4 disciplines. Okay. Now, I'm going to give these disciplines, but it takes a lot of years of experience to learn how to kind of push them into your brain and in your emotions and to actually follow them. But I want to recap today. First discipline is to trade the trend. Now, you've heard it a million times. Today, one of the things me and Tim were going over is we were looking at the Lux Algo indicator, which is kind of one of the things that we're teaching on Tuesdays. It's an indicator that helps clarify what is the trend. So it confirms the trend. It gives you support and resistance. You can always get support and resistance from me, but you can't get it on your time frame. You can only get it on my time frame. But if you got the Lux Algo indicator, you can actually have some pretty decent supports and resistance. I wouldn't recommend it if they were wrong. But when I go and draw my support and resistance and I turn on the indicator, they're literally within pennies of each other. And so I've actually grown some confidence with them. So you want to trade the trend. If the trend is down, then you've got to position yourself. And if you are not able, because you don't know how to do hedges and puts on your investments, and you're really a buy and hold DCA investor at this stage, and there's nothing wrong with that, you are on your road to Wall Street, and you'll get there in your time. But if you're not able to hedge, then it's extremely important that you are somewhat diversified and you're in some long-term investments. But if you have the ability to learn to hedge, and if you're picking up some of that I'm laying down, I've been talking a lot about that. I talked a lot about that with Nvidia, with Apple and Tesla and Google. If you're able to hedge, then you need to know when to let go of your option position or when to add it. I'm going to do some commentary on that. But the first thing I'm going to talk about, you got to trade the trend. Now, the second part is about loss, and you've got to use a stop loss. Now, I know by looking at those portfolios in New York, Tim, there was clearly some stocks that there was no stop loss in play. I'm going to throw some out there. ChargePoint. ChargePoint was hot back in 2021 and was massacred in 2022. It makes meme coins blush, Tim. It's down 98% and falling. And personally, I don't think it's got a future. And what happens is people hold on to it. They got $1,000 left in it. They had 10,000, 20,000 at one point. They're 98% down, and they're holding on to it almost for sentimental purposes. But I wanted to come out here, guys, today and tell you that, first of all, it's not financial advice. Anything that Tim and I say is not a suggestion for you to buy, sell, or hold. Sell your ChargePoint. Did I say that? I think
it might have slipped out.
Listen to me. I can tell you, I've done it myself, and it is such a healing process to get that dead weight, that corpse of a company out of your portfolio. It enables you to begin to look at where you're taking your portfolio further. Now, some of you guys are in lotto trades, but they're not lotto trades, okay? They're pretty much your entire capital, right? Now, the second disciplines of trade the trend, use a stop loss. The third one, I don't use a stop loss on everything. And when I don't, I have to do the third one, which is to control my position size. And I can tell you, okay, Josh, well, how do I know how much I should invest in a play that I'm excited about? Well, if you can't sleep at night, if you at any time in the middle of the night, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, if you think, oh, crap, I'm ruining my life with this position, with ChargePoint, then your position size is too big. I'm telling you, you've got to take care of the emotional dynamic of investing or you're not going to win. And I so badly want you guys to win. I just fell in love with the New York crowd and I want to see you guys absolutely kill it. Now, the fourth one that you guys want to be careful of is actually one that's extremely relevant today, which is not over trading or revenge trading because the markets are choppy. Why are the markets choppy? And I'm going to come to you, Tim, in a moment. Just some commentary on the Fed. The markets are choppy because the Fed spoke today. He did not raise interest rates, but he did drop a heavy hint, or at least the market interpreted it as so, that he might give us a cut next time. Now, we have been moving up. Historically, the markets do not drop until that Fed issues that first cut because it doesn't have a confirmation that the markets are cooling off. As far as the market knows, if the Fed keeps the rates higher, it means the market's hot and actually could be heating up. So until the Fed comes out and says, no, I got the big picture view, guys, this market's cooling off. That's when the stock market, that's when institutional money, they can't fight the Fed, and so they begin to dump their bags. And the minimum pullback that we would expect when we get that cut is 20%. But quite a few times, it's pulled back 50%. And so we need to process that. We need to begin to take that into consideration. And so, hey, quick reaction, Tim. What are your thoughts today on the Fed?
Yeah, so a lot of good stuff. And for anyone, I'm going to try to speak in as simple terms as possible because I've been following the Fed now for years, listening to every single one of the press conferences, the FOMC press conferences. You got to learn how to read the between the lines and what's he leaving out and what's he actually saying, what's he mean versus what he's actually saying. I'll tell you this. I came away from the whole thing, Josh, with a sense that his view of the economy, he has a level of cautious optimism, meaning nobody likes the fact that the GDP numbers here more recently dropped to 1.6. But at the same time, I do think that markets were, and I'm going to talk about crypto because the stock market actually has been doing decent over the last 2 weeks or so. But in the last 2 weeks, crypto, for example, was pulling back, setting what we'd call lower highs, lower lows, or a bear trend. And I think a lot of that was, in fact, because there was fear that even Jerome Powell would come out and say, hey, guys, the economy is not what we really wanted it to be. We might have to raise rates, make it harder to borrow money, which could suppress the crypto prices. I think people expected that. But instead, he came out and said, hey, we're probably going to have to hold this higher level for longer. But we did not discuss, and I think it's very unlikely that the next meeting will have to raise rates, implying that he still thinks this current rate of 5.5% interest rate is adequate at curbing inflation and getting it back down to 2%. Whether you agree with him or not is a completely different conversation, but markets move based off of Jerome Powell's speech and whether he's feeling positive about the economy or negative about the economy. And I'm going to say he wasn't necessarily the most positive I've heard him in times past, but I think people were expecting him, Josh, to sound negative. And he actually came out and kind of sounded like he was saying, hey, guys, this is somewhat going according to plan. Inflation isn't necessarily where we want it to be, but it's not getting out of control either. And we still feel like we have a decent grasp over getting inflation back to 2%. So again, do you think he's lying? You could think he's lying, but that's what he communicated.
Yeah, so, here's what I expect to happen right now. We are in a moment of a little bit of indecision. But one thing's for certain, that as long as the Fed has not cut, the markets can continue to climb. And we had our 6% correction before the Fed spoke today. Okay, so the markets decided that they were going to go some risk off and wait until the Fed spoke. Now I believe the markets can continue to climb higher. I'm going to take us into the S&P 500. I'm going to recap what I see there and what I'm watching for, and then we'll get Tim's opinion and perspective. All right, can you see my screen there, Tim?
Yes, I do.
All right, let's just jump into the S&P 500. Okay, you guys can see I've got the stochastic open down below. We're going to get into some stochastic. We got the daily chart open right now, and I'm going to go real quickly to the weekly. And I'm going to remind you guys of the basic narrative that I've been talking about. I've covered it many times. So we had back this V-shaped recovery. We're looking at the weekly chart, right? This was 2020, massive V-shaped recovery. This was a break of structure to the upside, gave us this very long run up, okay? Very long run up. Only 2 times did we get a 6% correction. We got one halfway through the run. We got a couple 2% corrections here, but we got another 6% correction. This was 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks down, and then it was followed by 5 weeks up back to the top of our trend line, right? Now, I have been saying, I called this, guys. If you guys are on this page, I said very clearly when we were back here where the bear logo is, I said, guys, it's due for a minimum of a 6% correction, so expect 4 weeks down and 5 weeks potentially up. So we got it. 1, 2, 3, 4 here. We came down. We got a beautiful, strong green candle. Now we're getting a red candle. But this week has just begun, and so this candle could easily end up with a very tall tail, and we could continue with the green candle going into the end of this week. At this moment in time, I'm going to stick to my prediction and I'm going to stick to my narrative. And you say, okay, Josh, but when do you give up on that? I wouldn't even think of giving up on it until we at least back test 5,200. Now, I want to go back and show you guys why, right? The only place where this could have failed would have been right here, the previous structural high. We came up and we pushed through it. But if we had gotten rejected, we got rejected later on in this window of time. Now, this is 2022 where we got a series of rejections and made a series of lower highs, right? A series of lower highs. If we're going to have a 2022 moment right now, which I don't see at the moment, I don't see it, we're going to at least have to get back and test above 52, between 52 and 52.65. We're going to have to get rejected there first before we come back and see if 49.60 will hold. So we've not come back up enough, but we have come down enough to continue higher and make a proper test of this. Does that make sense, Tim?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So what are your thoughts on the overall market right now and the premise that the Fed, as you were saying a moment ago, the Fed's not that upset?
Yeah, like I said, I don't think that they're necessarily that bearish as people expected. And what I was, you were looking at a very long time frame, weekly, but even on those lower time frames, like 4 hour, I just love to address this with people. We say this all the time: the trend is your friend until it ends. On the 4 hour chart right now, we are trending on a shorter timeline bullish, and we're sitting on a support level. So it's one of those things that it could be risky to buy in now, but the trend is your friend until it ends. And we're sitting here on support on the 4 hour on a higher low. And we just got semi-decent news from the Fed that the economy isn't as bad of a place as some people were really trying to make you believe. Now, again, I say this all the time, Josh. I don't know where you are with this. Sometimes I think that the numbers are skewed what they give the data. When they give the data of everything happening, I still think people are struggling to buy their groceries and to pay for the electric bill. And it's like just everything is going up in cost. However, when you're investing, and I'm sure you know this, and you either learn this the easy way from people like me and Josh, or you learn it the hard way by trying to trade your own personal emotions. The markets don't move off of your personal opinion. They move off of data points. So whether the data is true or not, data is suggesting that we actually should see some positivity. The data points are suggesting that things could go up here. So I'm kind of in a cautiously optimistic, bullish short-term feeling right now. We corrected. We had some bullish prices. The prices went up today. They've cooled off again. But I'm somewhat wondering if it's just a little of volatility around this season, and tomorrow could be a bullish day.
I'm with you. I'm with you. As far as I'm concerned, I have to follow my trade plan. I have literally repeated it on this channel over and over again, what it is I expected the market to do. Now, here's the good news. It's doing what I told you guys it would do, both with stocks and Bitcoin. So why should I abandon my plan now because the market's got choppy? I'm going to continue to view that it is correct until the charts have told me otherwise. Now, micro quick station break. Guys, thank you for being here today. Thank you for hitting the like. I got to give a shout out to Shika, one of the gals that I met in, forgive me if I didn't pronounce that correctly. I think I might have asked you a couple times when I was there. One of the folks I met in New York, one of the wonderful people in New York. Tim, I had an interesting conversation with one of the guys that worked at the hotel. He was the guy that was checking people coming in and out of one of the restaurants. And I was talking about the economy. And he said, don't let it, this is his opinion. This is what they say, circumstantial, right? He said, don't let anybody tell you this economy's not strong. He says, here in New York, he said, there are cashiers making $40 an hour. He said, he's an older guy. He said, that's never happened before. Now, how did I interpret that? And how should you guys interpret that? We have pockets of strength that are still playing out. We do not have. And that's why we've got high inflation, because there are cashiers making $40 an hour. Why are they making so much money? Because we've got inflation, we've got out of control. Now, not everywhere, but we've got these pockets of wage inflation, right, that's heated up. And so as a result, it's pushing the cost of goods up. That's why you're getting the high gas, the high food, and the high rent. So we don't have that across the board, undeniably bad data. Okay, here's what's happening though, Tim, and we've got to address it in today's video, it is a time of suffering in the crypto portfolio. Bitcoin came down to where you and I unanimously, two technical guys said in our last Technical Tuesday, we both said Bitcoin is coming down. Now, I actually gave the exact spot in which it was going to reverse. I showed people my descending parallel channel, and I said, we're going to fail here, and then we're likely to come back down. Now, I want to teach people something. I gave you guys the scenario that we could have a fake out above that channel and then return within the channel. But it didn't do that. But it did something else that you guys could have as a learning opportunity. It actually touched and rejected the top of my trend, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Triple rejection candle told us, and I wanted to get on here and do a video for you guys, but I was traveling, been doing a lot of traveling. I'm kind of situated now, but I actually have a little micro trip ahead of me. I wanted to come out and say, guys, the channel has spoken, confirmation, we're heading to 55. You'd already been told, you'd already been warned, it's come down. Everyone's crypto portfolio for anything they held is absolutely devastated. And Tim and I are going to take you into Bitcoin, and we're going to comment on the alts. But let's just start with Bitcoin, right? Yeah. And I'm going to share with you guys what I see there. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about the suffering in your altcoin portfolio. And I'm going to just tell you right now, I have the exact, and you guys can read between the lines. One of the people I ran into at the restaurant, they actually weren't going to the event at NASDAQ. It was just a guy that happens to follow me and Keenan and Larry. I ran into him at the restaurant and asked him, okay, man, what are you carrying? What are you holding? And he said, man, I got $3,000 worth of XRP, right? And, it pained me. It pained me. And he started to tell me, but yeah, man, I think this is going to go to $500. And Larry and I literally trying to use the opportunity that we had to kind of reach him and talk to him about his investing. And as we left and we kind of were processing the conversation, Larry had this point, Tim. He kept saying to the guy, who's they? Who? He said, they said that it's going to go to $500. And Larry's like, who's they? Who's they? He said, well, I heard this. He said, okay, well, who's they? And, Larry was trying to make the point as to who are you following? Who have you put your money in? You put your money in their hands. And as we were leaving, I commented to Larry, I said, Larry, so the guy that I had met on the outside, right, of that cafe, he had told me, talk to Michael who's inside. He knows a lot about crypto. Michael was the guy, and I'm not meaning to call anybody out, so I shouldn't have used anybody's names, but that guy said, Michael knows a ton about crypto, talk to him. Michael has become the they. So he went out and he learned from somebody that XRP was going to $500. He told his wife, he said, let's put in some hard-earned money. It's dropped. I mean, they put in about 10K. Now they're at 3,000, right? Yeah. And then he told his family and friends that I'm in this investment. I'm in this crypto. I'm going to make a ton of money. It's going to go to $500, and then I'm going to be a millionaire. And here's the problem, Tim. He became the they. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, guys, I have the exact same love for XRP as I do for ChargePoint. The minute that you dump it and you give up on the theys and you turn away from being the they and start putting your money in some altcoins that are potentially going to make some money, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I feel like happiness would flood into your hearts and you would sleep at night. Quick comment before we go to Bitcoin, Tim.
Oh, just on XRP. Yeah, I'm not quite, I don't think I'm as bearish as you are, but I'm, so whenever people talk about crypto prices and the price of anything, you know, with a stock price, we're talking about the market cap of the stock divided by the amount of shares. In crypto, you have what we call tokenomics, and you're going to have the market cap divided by how many coins are in circulation. And I'm not going to give you guys the exact math because I don't know it off the top of my head, but a simple mathematic equation and logical reasoning would rule out $500 for XRP on the simple basis of currently XRP is trading, I don't know, 40-ish cents, somewhere in the 40 to 50 cent range. The market cap's already in the multi-billions. What they're expecting for a $500 XRP would be in the realm of $50 trillion to the market cap. That is just not realistic whatsoever, no matter how bullish you are on XRP. I'm a personal believer I think it gets somewhere closer to $10. So I think there's still gains there, but nowhere close. Nowhere close to 5. I don't think 500 will ever happen for XRP. Not even if that coin continues to be bullish for the next 10 years. Like that is an outrageous prediction that is not based on logic or math whatsoever. But I think that something you said was true there, Josh. There are a lot of theys in the crypto space. There's just these crypto, it's funny, our names are investing bros, so, you know, we get mixed up for this. But there's the crypto bros that they get together, they consume some sort of something, probably as they're having fun and, you know, having a good time. And they just come up with these outrageous thoughts about why their favorite projects will go to these outrageous prices, but they're not based in logic. They're not based on math. I urge everyone to do your due diligence. You know, find people you do trust as well to learn from. But I love that Josh said it there. I tell my audience all the time, Josh, I say, listen, I hope that I help you guys a lot. I hope I give you rational arguments and reasonings for things, but ultimately test everything I say. I'm not the one investing your money. You're the one investing your money. You want to make sure you understand the logic, you understand the reasoning, you understand the math, you understand the charts. And then when you invest, you're not investing because Josh told you to invest or Tim told you to invest. You're investing because the logic checks out and you're making a reasonable risk with your portfolio to invest it in this way. And if it doesn't work out, you have your stop losses, you have your safe havens in place to protect yourself from disappointment. That's the whole point of what we are trying to do here, is not educate you on how to get that specific fish. We're teaching you guys how to fish in general. And you guys are going to go out and find your own fish that we've never even seen before. And you're going to be able to catch those. So yeah, XRP, I'm bullish. I think $6 to $10 is a reasonable expectation for a bull market, but 500 just doesn't even make any logical sense.
So first of all, one of the things that I really like about having Tim on the show is that we have not agreed on everything. And on this panel, you don't want you don't want your doctors to always agree because they know each other and like each other. You want them to say, that guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. You do not have such and such. So that's fine. I am, so let's do this. Let's go into the Bitcoin chart. We're going to give some predictions and some projections, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the alts that you guys are asking me about. I see a ton of comments, you know, in here, and, you know, I'm never bothered by any of the good or bad ones. If anything, the bad ones always entertain me. Mr. Black Knight 001 is a believer in the XRP, $20, $25 minimum. You know, I'm going to say this. Okay, I'm still fighting on XRP. Fundamentally, at the foundation of all of my technical knowledge is 3 words. Price is truth. You know, believe your eyes when you look at the price. And I always say this on my channel. I lay a lot of predictions out here that Wall Street don't want it. Wall Street doesn't want it. And Wall Street wants to make money. And if they're not buying it, it's because they don't want it. All right, let's go into the Bitcoin chart. I'm going to start off with mine real quick. Give me a second, guys. Okay. All right, I just want to give some commentary. If we go into where it was that I told you guys, we're on the weekly chart, but if we skip over to the daily chart, we had these candles which were communicating rejection. My descending channel, which I drew, I did not draw it here, guys. I drew this descending channel when we were down here, okay? So I drew this channel when we were here and told you we were coming up here to around 67.5. It happens to coincide with Lux Algo Indicator. And you guys say, but you know, I can't draw like you, Josh. You don't have to. That's why I literally brought the Lux Algo out to you guys, is because it gives you very similar support and resistance lines as I do. Mine was drawn here saying that this was going to get rejected at 67,642. The Lux Algo Indicator, the signals and overlay version said the same thing. This was resistance. It got rejected. We've come all the way down. Now, I use a broad bag of tools, and one of them is the Fibonacci, right? You guys, this is a chart, which let me go back to weekly view. It's easier to look at the Fib. You know, one of them is the Fibonacci's. I got to go to index. Give me a second, guys. Got to go to logarithmic view. All right, we're getting there. One of them is the Fibonacci, right? This helps me set expectations of where Bitcoin might go. This was, the very first halving event in 2013, and it had this monumental move up. We had a smaller move in 2017, a smaller move in 2020. And, the big question is, with smart money having gotten involved, are we going to have a breakout moment where we go to the fib level that we've reached in the past of 177 and even 515? Or are we going to continue the trend of lower momentum and lower volume and have a decreasing momentum move? Even though we've made an all-time high, one of the things that I understand is that price is smoothing out. And that's normal to a maturing asset. All right, let me just dive back in closer to our current time frame. Hey, look at that. Okay. So where did we go? We came back to this level that I predicted. Tim actually predicted the same thing. We got rejected, which was this 50. I said 55. We hit 56. So we didn't quite hit where I believed that we could have. And so the question is whether or not we are actually still going to come down and hit that. I can't say. It's very possible that all we're getting is the 56. We got to watch the candles moving forward. But I did want to point this. So we have this blue fib level line at 49,000. Now, if we're really going to continue this downtrend, it would not be crazy if we end up coming all the way down and hit that line. We don't have confirmation of that. At the moment, what I'd be watching for, and I think it could happen even this week, and I'll throw the daily time frame on. So the Lux Algo gives us an indicator of around 51,500 as a support level. Now, if we pull out my descending channel, what that basically tells me, we broke through the middle of the channel. If we close, on the daily time frame beneath the middle of that channel, by most of my years of experience, we will come down and touch the bottom of this channel, which means that we could have a slow march down over the remainder of this week on Bitcoin, only to dip and touch the bottom of this at 51.5. And so I want to warn you guys about that, that it is very, very possible. I'm working off of things like these Lux Algo indicators, but really I'm also doing my old school charting And in this descending channel, we've had a lot of confirmations. We had multiple confirmations at the top here on the daily time frame over and over again. We've had one at the beginning. These were not touches, actually. And so I am expecting a touch here. And if we continue to move down, in my mind, we're going to touch this channel, or we're going to touch the Lux Algo indicator. And that is going to be a massive bullish moment, because if you go back and you look at the big picture time frame, let's go back and do that. Give me 1 second, guys. If you go back and you look at the big picture time frame, this is what is referred to as an extremely bullish flag pattern. Let me pull this off here. You guys can kind of get a sense of how this is done too. Okay, this shape here, this flagpole pattern, descending channel, these break to the upside. So in general, I'm pretty bullish, but at the moment, I would be more bullish if we had a touch of the descending channel. I'm going to get Tim's commentary, and then we're going to get into... Tim, do you want to go right into your chart? What do you want to do?
Yeah, let's go ahead and go into it. I think a lot of things you're pointing out there are really, really helpful for everybody. There's some complicated stuff. Josh and I were going back and forth before the show, really wanting to give you guys the simplistic education of Lux Algo, and then as you guys get better and more integrated into it, you'll see the more complicated stuff. So I'm gonna save you guys some time today, not get so complicated. Gonna stick to things really simply and kind of point out what Josh is looking at, what you guys are seeing on his chart and on my chart, and expectations that could come into play. So if you want to share my screen here, Josh, we're going to just kind of focus on what these things here are called order blocks. Let me get this green line out of the way because that's just kind of blocking up. These blocks you see with the red and green colors are order blocks. And there's a lot of things I could get into and explain this, but for simplicity terms, these are major levels of support and resistance. So if you ever see these and the price, if we're below the price and you see the price come down to this level, there's a decent chance that should be a very good support level, and that's the level you're looking to buy. So in this case, what Josh is talking about, not only with that trend line, I'll draw the same kind of trend he has going on right there. With this trend line kind of making this move, could we potentially see a convergence of support of the descending trend line with the $51,000 order block coming in? And that right there, maybe sometime later in May, would be a beautiful buying opportunity. That's what Lux Algo is talking about. And just in case you guys are wondering a little more about this, and I'm not, again, I want to stay simple with it, but you guys see the colors. Some of you might even say like, okay, Tim, that's a support level, but what are the colors signaling right here? We have a little green bar. We have a big red bar. Well, that's what makes this order block very significant. The red tells you how many, like how percentage of the order block there, what amount of sellers will be exhausted at this level. Meaning the sellers, there's a lot of people shorting right now that would love to come back down to this level and hit that spot. There's not as many buyers who would be exhausted here, meaning that we could keep going on. So I see this order block where I see a massive red bar compared to a very small green bar, and this tells me that when we get down here, it is the people selling that will get exhausted, not the people buying, which makes this order block particularly pretty strong. Not only does it have that confluence, that combination of the descending support level, but it also tells you this is an amazing spot where all those people who have been selling, this is probably going to do a lot of them out. This is going to get rid of their short pressure. So that's what we're kind of seeing here. And then when you're looking to the upside, levels to keep an eye on for taking profit or even looking for short positions. Again, order blocks sitting above us. We have one sitting here around 66,300. We have another one coming all the way up closer towards all-time high at 72,200. So when price eventually does bounce back up, I wouldn't be surprised to see if price does do like kind of what Josh is talking about and comes down here and hits this order block and support level. I wouldn't be surprised to see a temporary rejection. We come back down, set a higher low, then we reject on this block. Maybe you can come back and use this block for support because those are heavy liquidity situations. But that's what you can, when you get Lux Algo and you put on the price action concepts, these are the things that pop up here. And you do want to keep in the back of your mind, this is the daily chart. So you're going to see these really spread out. If I go to the 4-hour chart, I'm going to get different ones popping up on the screen that give me more recent information. Right now, we actually have this is one of the reasons why I'm slightly a little bullish. We don't have any more order blocks on the 4-hour chart below us, which signals the potential. Could we make a move back up here towards 64,000 almost? An order block we just set up actually yesterday morning, it looks like, when we rallied back up closer towards 65. That would be a level to keep an eye on for if we bounce back up. We could get rejected, and you're going to notice that's going to come in right there with confluence to our red resistance level of the channel that Josh had on his chart as well. So this is a really simple addition to your already existing trading strategy. If you struggle to see significant levels of support and resistance, these order blocks and the price action concept really just stand out and communicate strong levels for you to kind of just say, all right, I'm going to buy when we hit this line, and I'm going to sell when we hit the high ones.
Yeah, I want to see people get good assets in their portfolio. And if there's an asset that's 98% down, 85% down, Tim, you and I would both agree that the trend is down. We want to begin to put hard-earned money into stocks and cryptos that are trending up, and we can't be holding those bags. I want to give everybody, so I gave them a little bit of a bearish thought on Bitcoin. I just told everybody that even though we've come down a lot, that we could actually come down more to 51,000. At the same time, earlier I just told you that the S&P 500, I was giving it the default that it would have the ability to move to the upside. And I do believe that at this moment in time that Bitcoin and the NASDAQ will run together. So what that means is that we're in extremely choppy market. When I said to you that Bitcoin could come down to 51K, I'm giving you what I'd consider a worst case scenario right now. I think that's the worst case scenario. Largely, I feel like Bitcoin and the alts have been crushed and punished. I've been trading long enough, and I bet Tim has as well, that we know that when you feel like you've been punished and crushed enough, Wall Street goes, nope, here's another 50-pound block on your head. Let me take you guys into the chart, because I'm going to show you what I'm watching for my reversal signal for Bitcoin, and it's getting primed, but not quite completely where it needs to be. Let me just take you into that real quick. So what I'm going to show you guys is going to be the stochastic RSI on specifically the weekly time frame. And the last time I gave you guys this prediction, let me remove this right here. The last time I gave you guys this prediction was telling you that we had room to the downside was because the stochastic RSI had turned here. Both channels, both lines were pointing down, and we were losing momentum here. And I believe that we had to come back to the bottom of and kind of get a reset on the weekly time frame. Now, personally, where we're sitting right now is an area where we have often had a reversal moment. I'm looking at the weekly time frame. Now, that reversal doesn't happen immediately. Remember, each candle that you see here is a week in the market. And when we got back here for reference point, this was actually the all-time lows, we had this stochastic RSI moving to the upside and actually giving us a bullish signal, but the price was moving sideways. So I just want you to understand, in my mind, we've come down enough. The stochastic RSI has got the first bend or kink in the line. Right here, no bends, no kinks. It's telling you it's going down more. We got our first bend right here. We've come down to a similar level where we begin to get a reversal. So the stochastic RSI for me is telling me that we are potentially a week away from a distinct bottom in Bitcoin and a potential reversal moment where we could go higher. Now, we don't have that crossover yet. And if you want to look at these moments of crossover, they typically come on an extremely green week. You get this point of it slowing down from its descent. That's typically when it's moving sideways. You get this reversal in the on the stochastic RSI on a really strong green candle. So at the moment we had our first kink. I'm going to be watching for more of a sideways week, and I'm then going to be looking for a very strong green candle that would cross the blue line back above the orange line. And then you guys are going to hear me say the bottom's probably booked. It's time for us to begin to look optimistically forward. But I will tell you that overall, being where it's at is kind of bullish in my eyes. Tim, did you want to comment on that?
I completely agree with you. Yeah, we're overextended as he's showing right there. We haven't curved to going to the upside yet. So it's if you people who try to catch falling knives are buying right now, but I'm a big proponent. It sounds, Josh, like you are as well. Again, I think people need to know we get to talk a little bit. We've only known each other now for about maybe a month. So every time we come on these shows, we get to know each other and our strategies better. But I'm just assuming you're like me. You like to see the confirmation of the upside before you actually buy. And I tell people all the time, the enemy of good investing is the word perfect. Too many people come into YouTube channels investing and want to know, they want to know the perfect place to buy and the perfect place to sell. And those are often the people that get wrecked the hardest. It's because they try to catch falling knives, they jump in, and then the price, like Josh talked about earlier, just continues to crumble. Or they think that they've pinpointed the perfect sell point and they sell, and then the market goes up another 20, 30, 40%. And then they're like, oh no, I went too early. And they like go to jump in, and somehow they're able to purchase that top just perfectly. I tell people, look for good buy spots. And good means we see confirmation of the price moving back to the upside, and then look for good sell spots, meaning you are seeing a confirmation that the market's bullishness is over. It doesn't get you the exact bottoms or the exact tops, but it does get you low purchases and high profits. And that's the ultimate game in investing.
You know, I forgot to mention, first of all, I hit the hornet's nest with my XRP rhetoric today, and there's been a lot of back and forth. Guys, we don't all have to agree. You know, I like to be moving. I like my money to be moving. I don't believe in stories or dreams. I like Bitcoin, but I'm going to drop it like I never knew it the minute I believe that we've hit the top. And I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm not I'm not ADA Army. I'm not XRP Army. I have a lot of responsibility. I've got beautiful children, marrying wonderful people, and I have an empire to build, and I got no time to be believing in some narrative of hope. I'm not hooking up daily to the hopium. If XRP crushes it and gets to $10, one of the predictions that's been outlined here, I will be the first to come back and say congratulations. But that between now and the day that that happens, I will have been making money every day with stocks and crypto that are currently trending up. Now, I'm going to share this with you. All right, just kind of look over some of the comments here, see what people are saying. Okay, so someone asked here, Josh, can you please tell me 10 cryptos that have a future for the next 10 years? Well, I'm going to give you guys 10 cryptos, 9 actually, but that are not doing too well. And I wanted to make a point to you and why specifically this particular, now I know it's Wednesday and I know we're doing Technical Tuesdays with Tim on Wednesday, but I'm still keeping my branding the way I like it. Guys, so these are an example. So these are 9 altcoins that are still down 85% or more from their all-time highs. Let's see. Okay. 9 altcoins that are down 85% or more from their all-time highs. Cardano down 85%. XRP down 85%. Polkadot down 88%. VeChain down 88%. Mina Protocol 91%. The Graph, 92. Gala, 95. Internet Computer Protocol, 98. Bioeconomy, 98. Guys, those projects are still in the winter. While other projects have hit all-time highs or surpassed their all-time high or returned to their all-time high, like Solana is one of them. And so we want to be, I want you guys, I'm getting too dramatic today, Tim. I want these guys to make money. I want them to make money, but the only way that the fam is going to make money is if they learn to let go. As if they learn. Now, you know what? Here's the problem, and I learned it years ago. When I used to open up my portfolio and it depressed me because the first thing I saw was one of my oldest investments that was down in the gutter, it sets the tone of everything I'm doing. But When I decided I was going to clean house, it's no different than literally cleaning your actual house. When I decided that I was going to clean house and literally cash everything out and say, okay, I accept the fact I've got X number of dollars right now. Now, here's what I would tell you. If you were my own family, if you were my sister or brother-in-law, I would say, okay, this is your X amount of money. Let's say it's 10,000. Let's say it's 3,000. Let's say it's 40,000, right? Put half into some projects that you believe are going to do well, right? And you've got to have a good reason. You better make sure you have a good reason for that. And the other half you let sit in cash. And truth be told, if you just stayed connected to this channel, Investing Bros is Tim's channel. So please take time today and go over there and subscribe, because you're getting a much broader perspective of information when you're following more than one person. I know you guys have great people that you're following. I think Tim's one of them. But if you take half of that pot, let's say it was 3,000, you put $1,500 into something. And I'm talking, there's a trade account and an investment account. One of the guys I met in New York, young guy who's 18, he had about $4,000. I said, hey man, you know what? You're going to be a future millionaire because you're starting young, but here's what I want you to do. Make sure you have two accounts. One, it's just buy and hold. Largely going to be ETFs. VOO, SPY. And you're just going to buy and hold over the course of 10 years, 20 years. Let that sucker ride. Psychologically, it's going to do well. One of my favorite comments, and I think it's true for all of the stock squad, was something Keenan said in a live, Tim. And I know I'm kind of sharing a lot today. Keenan said to me, guys, if you ever hear that the S&P 500 made an all-time high, just know that Keenan Grace has never been richer than he is today. Okay. Now, I'm making that point regarding the stock squad, that if you ever hear the market's at an all-time high, you can know that we have never been richer than that day. So part of your investment has got to be in an untouched account with no swing trading, no day trading, no scalping, nothing. It's buy and hold, and it's probably going to be ETFs. Then I'm giving you permission, okay, not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold, to have another account that you can be speculative with. And you know what? The one is psychological, and it's gonna do wonders for you mentally. This one, you're gonna learn that it's a tough road to learn to day trade, even though it's possible, and a lot of people have done it. And I believe that if you work hard at it, you can do it. But now this one, you want to have half of that money in something you believe in, right? That's trending up, not trending down. And the other half you want to have in cash. For the reasons that Tim and I just gave you, I'm giving you guys areas of support. If we come back and hit that area, and you've given the market a ton of time to come down, and you hear me telling you the stochastic RSI just turned, we're going higher, then you could consider taking that money and buying something. But being all in at all times is crazy. Big rant today. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Tim, any thoughts on that?
No, I agree all the time. I tell people, because you know I'm a day trader, so I am constantly looking at charts, going in the mostly altcoins, and going in and finding the best buys, the best sells. And I tell people all the time in my community, hey, you have what I call the hodl bag. You're going to hold on to it for dear life. You're going to hold that, and you're just not going to sell until, I think in the crypto world, it's okay to sell like every 4 years. There's a 4-year cycle where you take some profit. I try to move everything into Bitcoin, but I have a fraction. I think at this point, everyone's different. I think mine's about 15 to 20%. I don't know the exact number based off of trades, but about 15 to 20% of my total investment is trading money. So that money I'm constantly buying, constantly selling, but I'll take profits and I'll move it into my long-term hodl bag. My hodl bag will be really, really high, and then, things will dip. Altcoins right now have dipped 50%. I have several altcoins in my portfolio. So there's portions of my portfolio that are down at 50% in the last month and a half, but that is my long-term bag, because even though it's down 50% right now, again, if you guys go over and watch me on Investing Bros, we talk about crypto all the time. Crypto's a crazy space with a lot of volatility, with a lot of ups and downs. You can just hodl on, and you're going to be okay with most of them. There are some out there that are really crappy, but trading wise, I am a fan of trading, but not with a massive portfolio and not with, I think, Josh, you put it kind of well there. Like you put your stop losses in there. It's a smaller percentage. You have it in things that you like, but you also keep a reasonable amount of cash for the just in case something you don't plan to happen and things go a lot lower. You know, there's a quote, I don't know how often you guys use it here, but there's a quote from Warren Buffett that says, "You buy when there's blood in the streets, even if it's your own." And so I take that very seriously. And so I keep some cash. I work and I save up money to keep on for my rainy day fund of, hey, I'm doing my technical analysis, but if things go lower than I think and goes really crazy low, but I still believe in that project long term, I just got my best case scenario, dream come true, super, super low purchase in when there's blood in the streets. Even my long-term bag is bled here a little bit. And then, make money down the road.
I want to get, thank you, Tim. I want to get a couple, hey, it's technical Tuesdays on Wednesday, but I want to get some technicals in. So I'm going to cover a couple hot plays or ones that were really hot today. One of them is Nvidia. Now, my default on Nvidia is that I don't believe that we're in the full-scale capitulation moment. Today, it came back. It hit support. I notified the family. It hit support pretty much right on the penny. And I told everybody we're going to wait for a 1-hour confirmation candle. We got that. It took off like a rocket all the way up to 850 plus. I think it was 855. And then we got a beautiful sell signal on the Lux Algo. Now, for those who are going to have a trading account, now you need a trading plan. And I'm going to tell you, if you're with me every day, which we can't be together like that, then you could trade with me. But if you're not with me, then you need to have some idea of where you're going to exit and where you're going to enter. That's why I brought you guys that Lux Algo indicator, because you could say, okay, I'm not going to try to do this myself. I'm going to try to find a stock or crypto that's trending up. I'm going to sell it on resistance. When the blocks are there, I'm going to wait until it comes back to support. When the blocks are there, I'm just going to follow that. And that's all you do, okay? Until you begin to learn technicals, that's all that you do, nothing more. Stop trying to conquer Wall Street. Stop trying to change for the next hot stock or next hot crypto, overly diversified portfolios where 80% is down. It's a very preachy day today on Stocks with Josh. I'm going to go into, we're going to go briefly into Nvidia, and then I'm going to go into Dogecoin. Let's look at the chart here for Nvidia real quick. Okay, so we're on the weekly time frame, and I'm just going to point out some things, guys. I like to always take the most obvious and clear understanding, right? This is a bullish pattern, descending channel, breaks to the upside. We have this kind of this flat consolidation period, broke to the upside. We had another flat consolidation period, which broke to the upside. Now we have another descending channel. Personally, we came down pretty hard here, down to 769. Now we're fluctuated a little bit today. My default at the moment is that if we get back above 850, that's critical what I just said. If we get back above 850 on the daily time frame, you want to be in Nvidia, especially if you're doing it in any kind of options. You want to be in Nvidia for a push higher. I really view right now with Nvidia to be very similar to this period right here where we consolidated, right? After a major push up, we consolidated, we were price bound. And if you had, you can see right here, I can't zoom in. Okay, I can zoom in for you guys. You can see that the Lux Algo indicators gave you a buy area, right? The buy area for the longest time was 400. You could have then sold at this break of structure. The candles tell you this is a sell, okay? And you wait, buy it again at 400, right? Then it goes up here again, right? And then if you're using this indicator, it came back, it found support there, it back tested support, shot up like a rocket ship. Okay, let me zoom out for a minute. My view at the moment is that Nvidia has done something similar to what it did back here, where we had shot up for a period of time. We had our first pullback, and we went range bound for a while. We've shot up quite a bit. We've had our first pullback. I'm expecting a little bit of range bound action. And I'm going to tell you that for the time being, 850 is going to be a critical line. If we're above it, you want to be in it, call options to the upside. If we're below it, then you want to look for support around that 770 mark to take a risk position, call options to the upside. That's my thought on Nvidia. Can't tell you which direction the market's going, but I can tell you that Nvidia still looks good. And if I'm right that the market's going to be choppy and has potential to move to the upside, then there's going to be a ton of opportunity there to play Nvidia. And then, Tim, I'm going to let you take everybody into the Dogecoin chart today. I gave calls throughout the day in the Discord. That's the Stock Squad Patreon. I gave calls there on Nvidia throughout the day. It was a great day. Huge green candles there. And I then advised at the end, I said, let's be careful about over trading. Just nibble at this point. Let's see how the day ends up. Let's see how tomorrow goes. We can scale back into the position once the direction's confirmed. I also gave a signal on Dogecoin, and I said to everybody, I'm buying. And I said to the fam over there, I said, guys, if you don't buy Dogecoin today, do not ask me when we get back to 20 cents if it's time to buy. Could it go down to 10 cents? Yes. Is there even the possibility that in some sort of an Armageddon that we could get down to 8 cents? Possibly. I don't personally see that. It seems to be holding up pretty well. But what I'm doing is I'm taking all of my Dogecoin orders and I'm breaking them up into dollar increments, just one a little bit below the other, so that if overnight this thing wicks down because Bitcoin decides to wick down, it'll pick up a bunch of them, and then maybe I can make another big gain on the move back up to 20 cents. Tim, would you show us that chart and let me know your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so here we are with Dogecoin. I'm going to, again, keep it simple. I have a lot of things I use, but I'm keeping it simple for you guys today. Got a little bit of a trend going on here. It's almost like a channel, almost like a falling wedge. Either way, these both usually break to the upside. We've gotten very close to hitting support right here on Dogecoin, here on the 4-hour chart. There is an order block a little bit below us, closer towards 11 cents, 11.5 cents, give or take. That is an interesting one that if we drop back down, could be the one you're keeping an eye on. But when we break through this resistance level, eventually when we do, I'm going to go out to the daily chart and get a little bit cleaner. Watch out for the first level of resistance coming in here, closer towards 16 cents. We also have some good resistance coming in 20 cents. Again, the crypto bull market is not...
Can I ask you this, Tim? Would you share with everybody what they would have saved? Now, remember, I'm trying to get people on a path to making money. I don't want to meet my beautiful, lovely people, and I want to hear. I heard success stories. I heard success stories about people that were killing it. Specifically, Tesla was a big one. People had bought in at that 140, like I had advised, and they had killed it, crushed it. That thing went up all the way to $198. So I was hearing good success stories, but I also saw a bunch of bad portfolios. So I'm wanting for those who are struggling and don't have a trade plan, I'm wanting you to simplify what's in your crypto or your stock portfolio. Work with a tool like Lux Algo and just follow it. Someone asked, what exactly is that indicator? What's the full name of the Lux Algo indicator, guys? Please help. Real quick, let me just answer this. The link is in the description of the video, guys.
Yeah.
So you can go there and it'll take you to the site and it'll show you your different options. The one that we're got on the page now is go ahead. I'll let you go over that one, Tim.
Yeah, so this is the price action concepts. I wanted to show them this, Josh. I actually went back in time. So the candle you're seeing, this isn't today's candle. This is back on March 27th. So with price action concepts, that's what gives you the order block. So when you went into this, if you were to go back to the 27th of March, you could see a strong order block of resistance right here. Again, I'm not going to get too complicated. If I'd gone up here and seen the take profit on signals and overlays, I might have held out for 20 cents. Either way, let's watch how this would have played out. Let's just pretend you guys sold right here at 19 cents because we hit our order block.
Can I throw a comment in, Tim? And I don't mean to interrupt you. Thank you for your, for chopping it up with me like the markets. In the Discord, the Stock Squad Patreon, I showed this exact order block and I drew on there resistance at 20 cents. It's now time to put in your stop loss. Put it in right beneath this order block. So if we go up, you can get out a little earlier, but don't lose the money you just made. I gave that post then. You know, I know there's some diehard holders, people like Josh, but you did a video talking about Dogecoin getting to $1. Yes, and I told you the only path for that to happen is if Elon integrates it on X. Have you seen that news release? Neither have I. So until he does that, we're going to chop it up, and these are the signals that we're going to use. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Here we go. Yeah, so here we go. So this played out again. Big candle ended up coming up to 22. That was right in where, again, we had our take profit on the more complicated one. Again, we're keeping it simple, but look what happened. We went up above here. You would have sold at 19 cents, went a little higher, but you're good to go. Next level, you're looking back to 12 cents is the order block. Watch how it played out over the next couple of weeks. Of course, you guys already see the yellow lines, but we came down, touched that order block once, and again, now we have kind of come into it a second time. That's one of the reasons why I am looking at longer term support here on the daily chart, and I'm starting to pull my eyes up towards 16 cents and 20 cents once again over the next couple of weeks.
I'm getting told, don't interrupt you. I love what Tim's saying, but as the host, I am also wanting to squeeze in a certain level of content. But thank you, Tim, for giving us good feedback. I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you guys pick the next stock or crypto that we cover. So you throw it in right now, and we're going to take the last few minutes of this show to go over it. What would you guys like us to actually cover for you? What are you looking for some technicals on? And whatever you like, even if it's XRP, I'll go into the chart for you. Yeah. So, all right. Well, you know, I think we're gotten... feel free, guys. All right, here we go. We're getting some Boba, Ondo, ICP, Near, Bitcoin, Cash, Nvidia. I covered Nvidia. Good.
Someone talked about Tesla. Go to my screen here real quick. Again, we're talking about these order blocks. Take a look. Remember when we talked on your show like 2 weeks ago about this range here, about 146? Take a look at where the order block was, and look what we just rejected here a couple of days ago.
Yep. And right, you know what? This, Tim, would have given people the confidence to hold, especially with these gapping candles, and it would have given the confidence to take profit. This is the exact chart, guys, that I used. I run my own technicals. I consider things beyond the scope of this signal. Lux has got other signals that do other things. But the fact is, if you don't have my experience and you don't have Tim's experience, this is the reason why I'm saying simplify your trade plan. Try to start figuring out a way of say, okay, well, I'm gonna trade a couple things that I think are trending up, maybe even one. I'm gonna have another portfolio for investing, and when it hits this order block, I'm gonna take profit, and I'm gonna wait for it to come back, maybe on a shorter time frame like the 4 hour, and I'm gonna re-enter. So we're getting Bonk, Baba, Gala, AVAX, SEI, Jasmine. Which one do you want to do, Tim?
Whichever one you want. I'm down for any of them. Nothing stands out to me necessarily. I go a lot of these I go over in my show. We can do. I mean, I did some. I mean, it's not the simplistic version. I was in a Solana trade earlier today that I did hit my take profit. And look at that. We bounced back up. We're rallying here again, back up to 134. Yeah, so longer term, we went below it, but we had a nice, strong daily order block here. I did have, for a plethora of reasons, I told people way back here when we were up over $200, I said, hey, guys, don't be surprised to see Solana fall back down to 120. And we've actually come back and touched it twice now.
Yeah.
So Solana, I'm bullish on it long term. You might not be in the same category as I am. There's some things I've done historically. I've done it on my channel, but I think Solana is a coin that we could easily see it get close to, if not over $1,000. It's currently at 134. So little less than a 10x from here. It's not, I don't think it's the crypto with the most gains left in it. I saw someone asking over and over again, 10 coins for the next 10 years. I'll tell you, that's a hard question to answer. Because 10 years is a long time.
It'll change
with crypto. Yes. I'll tell you guys this. My perception of crypto, and I'm a crypto guy, if you're asking me, Tim, 10 coins for the next 10 years, I can only give you one. There's only one coin that I really trust will still be here in 10 years, and that's Bitcoin. There's a couple others that I think will be here, but ultimately, the crypto market is still figuring, it's so young and it's figuring itself out. And just like the early days of the internet or the early days of cell phones, there's a wrestling and there's a competition that happens. And that's the early days of crypto as well. It'll settle itself up. And here in a couple years, we'll have a better handle of what will still be around. But for now, it's the Wild West. But I'm looking here with Solana again. This is longer time frame. I think shorter time frame. I'm looking for potentially another pullback up here into the $160 range. There's some resistance above us here at 142. Let's even look at the oscillators. I have a lot of oscillators, but I'll try to keep those ones simple as well. Maybe we have if we go on a daily chart, there's a chance we have a little further to go. Stochastics down, but I do like the RSI being really low and starting to find some confluence to the upside. Our MACD looks like it wants to start going to the upside. And then this is a complicated one, but what I'm going to look for confluence here, simplicity. I want to see this money flow. This is a Luxalgo indicator. Money flow, I want to see it go back positive to feel good about it. I feel kind of good about Solana going back to the upside, but until I see the daily chart or the 4-hour chart show me positive money flow, which I am seeing. Okay, there we go. 4-hour chart. I didn't look at it recently. 4-hour chart showing me some positive money flow. This is a good sign here, Josh. There's a lot going on here. I'm not going to explain. This is a different video. I'll explain all of this. It is the more complicated side. Don't try to overcomplicate your trading. But for what I do and what I trade, I like the looks of moving to the upside. Look for us to start breaking through these order blocks and head to these bigger ones.
And and I'm not saying they don't need us, Tim. I'm not saying y'all don't need me. I think y'all need to tune in, because we're on this journey as well with you. We're doing the journey together. When you were showing the Solana chart, Tim, what I would like to point out to people real quick, and let me just get over there real quick to Solana, is that there was some, and I want people to learn these things because there was some very clear indicators in this chart, right? There are some, besides the indicators that we've received, we have a classic double top. What did you have up? The daily, Tim?
I started with the daily. I did the daily in the 4-hour.
Yeah. Let me bring that in here, guys. Just 1 second. I haven't had this up in a while. Okay, so this is a little bit the experienced trader view. So yes, Tim pointed out that we had these order block indicator from Luxalgo telling you run for the hills, get out, get out. Yeah. It's time to sell. But what I see is a classic double top. Okay, so we reached a price point. The next day's candle, rejection. We reached the price point again. The next day's candle, rejection. That is a classic bearish double top confirmed by the Luxalgo indicator. Then when it came back here, right, you want to find the lowest price point that it reached. And when that price point gets broken, okay, it tells you, let me just pull this up. That tells you that you're going down much further. That price point was 179. And so I think at the time I gave everybody the structural area of 176, which is structure. But when we crossed beneath 170, that's when this monumental move came. That's because the double top got confirmed, okay? And so, it's helpful to use all of these together. We came back, and then the last thing I wanted to point out was structural support. Then we've come back to what, structural support, which you see right here. What's structural support? It's previous resistance, okay? We came back to it. We sold beneath it, but then we recovered. We came back here, touched it, we recovered. We've come back to it again. And to be honest with you, historically, it's proven to be a pretty good area of support. And so we might find that it's a good area to buy. And what I kind of see happening with Solana, and I'll give you guys a hard prediction. Whenever I use that term hard prediction, I'm telling you, this is what I think is going to happen, folks, is that we are probably going to move sideways in this area. And this area of historic support at around 117 that we have now hit twice, it's held up pretty darn well. We do have the next area of support down here at 103. I don't see that unless we get really ugly on Bitcoin.
Yeah, we gotta get some pretty bad news to come, I think, to get us there.
Yeah. All right. I think that we have pulled off, Tim, another incredible show. And what I want you guys to do, even though I do interrupt this guy, which I apologize for, Tim, I
No,
do want,
as you said, it's your show.
I want
I'm
you
here
guys,
to help you.
I want you guys to go over to Investing Bros, and I want you to subscribe to Tim. I think it's well worth the watch. He's laying out, his guy is a technical guy. It's the reason why I brought him on my show, because I didn't want to just bring on someone else to chop up. We listen to ourselves talk. I wanted opposing opinions. I wanted ideas that I'm not looking at, and that's exactly what I'm doing with Technical Tuesdays with Tim on Wednesday, but next week it'll be Tuesday. Any final thoughts, Tim?
No, I think this has been awesome. Again, I'm bullish right now. My closing thoughts are: look for the confirmations, people. Continue to do your own research. I'm bullish right now. I can't wait to see what happens next. I've been bearish for a little minute now, and I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about this channel. Again, I think you hit it last time, but over 100. When 200, guys? When is Stocks with Josh can hit 200,000 subscribers? We got to get there soon.
Well,
we're on our way. Our channel to 20. So
thank you, Tim. And I want to see Tim get this next mile marker ahead. Someone said you're like Larry. I'm going to take that as a compliment. I like Larry. I think he's great. I think it was meant to say that Larry taught me how to interrupt on Technical Tuesdays.
There we go. There we go.
But I'm going to take it as a compliment. Larry's the best. I'm a fan of Stock Up with Larry Jones as well. Guys, thank you for joining me today. Please hit that like if you watched to this point. It's worth a like, and hit subscribe to get the next Technical Tuesdays, where we're going to break up big tech and give you future direction of Bitcoin. Appreciate each and every one of you. Peace and blessings. Take care.